Hey everybody, Seth Campbell here with the new Segue Says podcast. First things first, a little bit of housekeeping. I've decided to move the upload date from Wednesday to either Saturday or Sunday each week. When I first started making this a weekly podcast, it was still just uploading the backlogs, and even then I had Wednesdays off. So managing it on a Wednesday was fairly easy. I don't have Wednesdays off anymore. So with the delays that have been building up recently, I've been getting these to you on the weekends anyway, so I figured it'd just make more sense all around to make this a weekend update. So, with that out of the way, this week's podcast is in many ways a continuation of last week's, albeit with two new songs. They're both still in B-flat, both heavily using the concept of double time, which we talked about last week, and one of them is continuing on the concept of not being over somebody, which we dealt with last week with Not Over You and Suzanne, both of which had the same topic. The two songs this week are Not Over You by Gavin DeGraw and Big Bright Sun by Will Dailey. Well, it's actually on an album called Will Dailey and the Rivals, but it's a Will Dailey song. But here we go. So, Not Over You, I believe, is probably Gavin DeGraw's biggest hit currently. It was on the Sweeter album, I believe, which is his second to most recent. I saw him play this at the end of his set when he opened for Billy Joel a couple months ago, and it's just fantastic. And in case you don't know it, well, I'm sure you've heard it on the radio, but here's a verse-chorus. And listen how the verse is double time to the chorus. Last week we had one song that was double time to the other, but the songs stayed consistent in their timing. This time, both of the songs have a section that's double time to the rest of it. So we'll deal with that a little more as we come to it, but just try to listen to where the beats are. This is Not Over You. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Dreams, that's where I have to go to see your beautiful face anymore. I stare at a picture of you, listen to the radio, hope there's a conversation. We both admit we had it good. Until then, it's alienation. I know that much is understood. And I realize if you ask me how I'm doing, I'd say I'm doing fine. I lie and say that you're not on my mind. Then I go out and I sit down at a table set for two, and finally I'm forced to face the truth. No matter what I say, I'm not over you. And if you notice very closely that when the chorus comes in, it's all of a sudden it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Both of these, it's much more obvious when you hear the full band versions with the drums. But suffice to say that where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, it then goes to half times. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that is Not Over You. And you'll notice that as I now play for you a verse-chorus sample of Big Bright Sun, that it does the same thing except in reverse. The chorus is double time to what the verse is. So, this is the electric version of this off the Will Dailey and the Rivals album. There's also an acoustic version of this that's very cool, and if I had to guess, it's probably closer to what Will originally wrote. Long backstory there, but suffice to say, both versions are incredibly cool, and the electric version is the one that utilizes double time. So that's what we're using for this segue. But again, listen to where you would count the beats between the verse and the chorus. spotlight, you're alone in the dark. To the lonely, you're the ache in their heart. To the crowd, you are a show about to start. But it's a foolish game to sing this song to anyone who don't know what it takes to stand up out on their own. Whoa, 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 what do you mean by sun? Whoa, 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 shines on the lonely one. To your mother, you are still only a child. And that's back in the second verse. So you notice 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then you get to the chorus. So and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. And again, it really helps to have the drums and the full band to hear that that's exactly what's going on. But because solo piano is a little more ambiguous, it might even make the segue easier. So, we have two songs, both in B flat, and both have sections that are double time or half time, depending on how you want to look at which one you want to look at as the primary time. So, you know, obviously we've got a lot of connections here. So it's a matter of how to use them. And the trouble is, it's a little tricky because of the rhythm that the Will Dailey song, Big Bright Sun, uses in the halftime sections. Compared to the, it's got the stud version of 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2, which the Gavin DeGraw song doesn't have. That's just straight 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So that's very straightforward. And then when you have the double time sections, the Gavin DeGraw one, there's a lot more focus on the upbeats as opposed to the downbeats that the Will Dailey song is. So in spite of the similarities, it was actually a little tricky to figure out how to finesse this one, but I think I finally got a way that it works. Now, I like to start with Not Over You because its most significant section is the chorus, and that's in halftime by comparison to the rest of the song. So, at the end of the chorus, you have it goes back to double time for the riff. No matter what I say, I'm not over you, and then it's back in the double time. But if you wanted to go into another song that starts on a verse that's comparatively halftime to the chorus, you don't have to go back to the double time there. So rather than, no matter what I say, I'm not over you, going back to the double time, you could just start the halftime riff of Big Bright Sun, which is how Big Bright Sun begins, and that it goes something like this. And finally I'm forced to face the truth. No matter what I say, I'm not over you. You could even do the little vocal trill that DeGraw does. Not over you. And it actually works over these chords, even though they're different chords. So that's a coincidence that's too good not to take advantage of. To the spotlight, you're alone in the dark. And then you just begin singing. Now, you could do that just as a one-way segue, and that's probably the way I would do it, because it's easier to go between the halftime riffs than the double time riffs. I'm not entirely sure why, it just is. But if you wanted to go back into Not Over You, the fact that, again, its main riff is in double time and the Big Bright Sun chorus is in double time means that you could definitely do that. So you have the jam at the end of oh, 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 to be bright sun, oh, 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 shines on a lonely world. Basically somewhere the Big Bright Sun phrase ends on the 5, which means it actually, if you continue the Will Dailey song, it resolves deceptively to the 4 before going to the 1. But the Gavin DeGraw one starts on the B flat, which is the 1 chord. So it's very easy. Just do a little build up on the F to emphasize that the resolution is very important this particular time around. One of the reasons I don't like to necessarily go back to I'll Be, or not I'll Be Over You, that was last week's episode, Not Over You, is once you're in this section, you'd have to go through a long, complicated thing to get back to the halftime chorus. So basically, you'd you'd get all the way through both songs, and then you'd just be doing this instrumental bit again. That's how that song ends, and you'd basically just end it. So you can do that if you wanted to go back to the instrumental riff, but to me it's not necessary. If you can't do any real vocal piece to anchor it back in the first song, to me then it's not always something you want to do. However, I leave that entirely up to your discretion. So hopefully you've enjoyed this, and I will see you next week as always. Thanks for watching.